In the age of the coronavirus, movie theaters face an uncertain future. Once we start to reopen the economy, will people return to them? Paul Murphy reports one local theater owner is optimistic.
Movie theaters face a unique set of challenges post-coronavirus crisis.
I think things will eventually return back to normal. The next year may be a little shaky.
Competition from streaming and on-demand services increased when stay-at-home orders forced theaters to close. Filmmakers have also delayed the release of major movies like Disney's Mulan and the James Bond film No Time to Die. And there's a question of how long it will take customers to return to sitting in a crowded, enclosed space. WWL TV film critic Alfred Richard thinks it may be a while before the theater business rebounds.
The ideas of when I grew up and going to a jam-packed theater to watch films like Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Brian Knighten, owner of the Broad Theater in New Orleans, predicts people are ready to get out of their living rooms and away from their TVs.
And I have, three small children, and we watched Trolls the other night online, and it was a disaster. We had the dog walking around, kids running around, fighting for places to sit. That's not something you get in a movie theater.
Knighten says when his theater does reopen, seating will be spaced out, there will be more frequent cleanings, and there will be more time between showings to keep down crowds in the lobby and concession areas. Richard says megaplexes are going to have to get creative to recapture the movie market.
Prior to the coronavirus situation, theater chains were trying different things, more comfortable seats, IMAX seating, better food at the theaters.
So far, there is no firm date when movie theaters will be allowed to reopen in Louisiana. Paul Murphy, Eyewitness News.
And in a related story, the Motion Picture Academy announced films that debut on streaming services due to theater closures will be eligible to compete for the Best Picture, General Entry, and Specialty categories.